Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome. Today we're going to get ready to review for a quiz and also review for the upcoming test. All right, so when you're solving for substitution, what you are trying to figure out, right, is how do you get one letter isolated? So in this case, like I already have y equals. So you could technically take what y is equal to, and you could plug that in place of y, and that would be your substitution strategy, right? So then you would get 6x plus 2 times 2x minus 6 equals 18. And you would solve that out and find out what is x. Once you know what x is, then you could take what the value of x is and plug in and solve for y, right? So that would be that strategy for substitution, and you guys can go ahead and try that one out. So at this point, pause the video at this point and try to finish up this problem. And so if you'd work the whole thing out here, you would get, so, right, 6x plus 4x minus 12 equals 18. Combine your like terms here, and that gives you 10, right, minus 12. Move your 12 over, so add 12 to 18 gives you the 30. And then divide both sides by 10 gives you 3. Plug in your answer for 3 into x, and you have your solution. And that's it for number 1. All right, so go ahead and try number 2. So at this point, try number 2 and see if you can work that out. So once again, try to pause the video, right? So pause the video at this point and try out number 2 completely on your own using this substitution strategy. Okay, so this one you would have had to have solved for x first, right? Because y's got a coefficient here. So solving for x, moving the 5y over gives me negative 5y minus 11 for equal to x. And then I can take what x is equal to and plug it in place of x. So I would get 4 times negative 5y minus 11 plus 5y equals negative 14. Okay. So once you have that, now it becomes a standard Algebra 1 problem. Okay, so if you didn't get that other part at this point, so if you got stuck at any point, pause now and try to finish. All right, so here you should have, once you solved all that out, you should have got y equals negative 2. Plug in negative 2 in place of y, and then you could have picked either equation, right? I just found the bottom one easier. Plug in negative 2 in place of y, and solve it out. So x minus 10 equals negative 11. Add the 10 over, and we get x equal negative 1. So you would get negative 1 comma negative 2 would be our solution, and that's it. All right, for 3 and 4, you can try these completely on your own. So go ahead and try these. I will just have the answers up here so you can check and see if you got them right. So pause the video, try them as if these were standard homework problems, okay? All right, so here is our answer for 3, right? We just kind of rearrange this top equation to solve for y by moving the negative 5x over, making it positive 5x plus 8, taking what y is equal to, plugging it in place of y, and solving it out. So that is the process there for substitution. Okay, now for elimination, what we really want to look at is how do I get rid of one of the letters? We want to eliminate or get rid of one of the letters, right? We're not putting something in place, we're getting rid of. So if I look here, I got a positive 4 and a positive 3. So I'm looking at how do I make those both the same, and so they will eliminate. So I really want to make them both into 12s. So in order to do that, I want to multiply the top equation by 3. And I would really want this to be a negative 12. So if the top's going to be positive 12, I need the bottom to be negative 12. So I'm going to multiply that bottom one by negative 4. Okay, so multiplying the top by positive 3 is going to give me 12x plus 9y equals 9.3. And multiplying the bottom is going to give me negative 12x, negative 16y, and that's going to give me negative 12.8. And now I can add those together. So that would give me negative 7y. And that'll give me negative 3.5. Divide both of them by negative 7, and I get y equals to 0.7. And now I can go ahead and plug in what y is equal to, right? Just pick one of the two equations, doesn't matter which. So I'm going to do 4x plus 3 times y, which is 0.7, equals 3.1, and 4x plus 2.1 equals 3.1. Subtract the 2.1 from both sides. 4x equals 1, and divide by 4, x equals 1/4. And there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, at this point, I want you to pause and try this problem on your own. So try to work that problem completely out on your own and see what you get. It shouldn't be any different than the other. All right, so this one, I wanted to get rid of the y's here, so I made both of them into 6's, multiplied the top by 2, multiplied the bottom by 3 to get rid of the y's, and we go ahead and work out our whole process, and we have our final answer. Done. Okay, pause these two, try those out, and see what you get. See if you can come up. I will have the answers on here just to check and see if you did it right. I will have no work solution. So here we go. Just try your best and see what you did, okay? All right, so that should have been your answer for 7. If you didn't, please ask questions. And this one you get, if you just combine these or multiply this bottom one by -1, you see you get 0 equals -6, which that is not a true statement. Your x's and your y's cancel out. So this would be no solution. And you can look at it here. The slopes are going to be the same, different y-intercepts. So they are parallel lines that would never intersect. Therefore, that is no solution. All right, so now let's look at a problem here that has some fractions in it. It looks a little more complicated, right? Well, it's really not any more complicated. Let's figure, we know techniques on how to get rid of this 9 out of the denominator, right? So I could just multiply everything here in the top by 9, and that would make that top equation then 9x plus 36 equals -4y. And let's just go ahead and move things around. Here I have an x number and the y on the other side. So let's move it to line it up. So we want to move our x over there. Let's also move our number over here. So that way, moving the x over, instead of being -4x, it becomes +4x on this side. And here was 13, becomes -13 on this side. And that's equal to -5y, right? So now I could do one of two things. I could figure out, I could either cancel out y's or cancel out x's. I think I'm going to cancel out y's and make them both into 20s. So if I want to make them both into 20s, I would have to multiply this top by 5. And I want one of them to be negative. So that's going to end up being a negative. This would have to be +20. So I got to multiply by a -4. So on the top, we're going to have 5 times 9 would be 45x. 5 times 36 would be +180. And that would make -20y. And same kind of process on the bottom, multiplying it all out. -16x and -4 times -13 would make +52, and that would equal +20y. And so now I can kind of cancel out and add together. Okay, well, I see here I got 29x plus 232, and this would be a 0, right? So typically we do put x and y on the same side number on the other and write it in standard form, but it doesn't really matter. So because I can just move the 232 over and get 29x equals negative 232 and divide by 29. So here you would get x equals negative 8. Once you know what one is, plug in and find the other, correct? So I'm not going to go through that process. Yeah, I know you know how to do that. So once we know one, plug in and find the other. Okay, so same general process for something like this. Let's just get rid of this crappy fraction look. So let's get rid of that 7. So multiply everything by 7. And so that would give me negative 7x plus 33 equals 3y. And we have our other equation that said, right, just putting it the way it was, negative 5 minus 5x equals 5y. Okay, well, typically we want to write these in standard form, so I'm just going to move things around a little bit, put x and y on the same side. So I'm just going to move the 3y over there and move the 33 to the other side. So that would be negative 7x and then minus 3y equals negative 33. So remember, if we're moving across the equal sign, really all you're doing is just changing the sign, right? Just change the sign, move across. Same way here. Move here, I can just move the 5x over there, and so I would get a positive 5x, a positive 5y, and would equal negative 5. So that would be moving everything around, lining up your x's and your y's and your numbers. That way you can start canceling things out, right? So at this point, try to pause it and finish up the problem. Pause and finish. All right, so that's it for the last question, and you guys are good to go.